Hi, this is Beth Beard from mylittlecraftblog.com, and today I'm going to show you how I made these little Christmas ornaments. The first thing you're going to start with is some designer series paper, and the paper that I'm using and that these ornaments were made from is called Be of Good Cheer, and this is from the holiday catalog this year. So I've cut 2 strips of designer series paper that measures 3 inches by 12 inches and 2 more strips that measure 2 inches by 12 inches. And the die we're using is called the Big's Extra Large Designer Rosette. And on this die, one side looks like a picket fence, and then on the other side is scalloped. And this will cut out your sheets and also score them. But what I wanted to show you is on the scallop side, I just lay my designer series paper just a little bit over the scalloped edge, and then take my acrylic plates and put one on the bottom and then one on the top. And this is how you would normally run it through your Big Shot. But when I use my dies, what I do is flip it upside down and I run it through the Big Shot like this, and I'll show you why. Okay, so I ran all my pieces through Big Shot using my die. So the reason I run them through upside down, and I pretty much do this with all my dies, is because when I take off my acrylic plate, I lift up on the die, and as you can see, all those little cut pieces don't stick to it. They're all stuck on the acrylic plate, and it's much easier to remove them from here than it is from the die. Okay, so we'll set that aside. And if you find that it didn't cut all the way through and you have a couple little pieces still stuck on there, they're easy enough to pop off. I just run my fingers across them and it pretty well knocks them out. Okay, so then the next step is we just start folding. So do a valley and a mountain and a valley and a mountain, and we'll just keep folding. Also, one thing that I didn't tell you that I use with my die, and I don't know if it's just mine or my Big Shot, but when I use this die, I always use a shim. I have a scrap piece of, it measures about 4 inches by 12 inches of cardstock that I put on top of my acrylic plate when I run it through the Big Shot. And then I get, my score lines are easy. It cuts fine, but my score lines are easier to see when I use the shim. Okay, so all I'll be doing is just folding these. Okay, so now I have all my pieces folded on the score lines in the accordion fold, and the next thing I have is silicone mat. This is also in the holiday catalog this year. And I also have a hot glue gun, very cheap one. I think I got it at the dollar store because my good one disappeared. So I'm just going to put a glob of glue on my mat. I'm going to fold up my pieces here, leaving the end pieces out. So I'm going to hold it like that, where you can see where this one's out and this one's out, and I'm just going to stick it in that hot glue. Now it does take a minute for it to set up. And we're going to do that for all 4 pieces. So I'll put another glob of glue on there. Fold up this one, leave out my ends, and stick them down. Okay, the glue has set up, so I've already gone ahead and attached this one, so I'll show you how I did this one. Just peel it off your silicone mat. That's the beauty of it. Nothing sticks to it. And if you find that you have a little bit of glue overhanging, I just take my craft and rubber scissors and snip that off. And we're going to connect these 2 pieces together. So on this open end right here, I'm going to put a little strip of glue along there. And then I'm going to open up this one, and this little flap is open, and I'm just going to lay that over the top of it and just hold it on there for a second until it sets up. And then fold that back together. And that's why you have to snip the glue if there's any overhanging the edge. And then we'll put a little bit more glue right here on this side, and then we'll connect it. And And just line up the scallops and hold it down. And look like that. So the next thing I've taken is some cherry cobbler scallop tulle. This is also from the holiday catalog. And I cut 3 pieces, and I cut just 3 scallops. And what I do for it is I just lay it down flat and just bunch up one end and then twist it a little bit. Put some hot glue on my silicone mat, and then I just lay that across there and let that sit there for a minute. Now my fingers are not touching the hot glue. I just made a small strip of hot glue and just laid it across it. And then we'll do that again. Just lay it down, bunch up one end, and twist it. Put a strip of glue on the mat. And lay that across it. And just hold it for a second. It doesn't take long. And then do the same for the last one. Okay, while we're waiting for those to dry, what we're going to do for the back of our ornament, we're going to flip this over because I think I'm going to make this the front. I've got a piece of cherry cobbler cardstock and my 2 3/8 inch scallop circle punch. We'll punch out our circle. We'll add a little hot glue on it. And we'll put that in the center of the back. And we'll flip it over. Oh, before we do that, I have a little to from stamp, and this is from No Peeking stamp set, also from the holiday catalog, and a little stays on. And we'll stamp that on some gumball green cardstock. And we'll punch this out 1 3/4 inch circle punch. We'll make it big enough so you have room to write. We're not going to adhere this just yet to the back, but this is going to go right into the center. After we finish up our ornament, then we'll put it on so we know where the top of the ornament's going to be. Okay, so we'll flip this back over. Our tool is set up, so now we'll attach it. I'm also going to punch out a 1 3/4 inch circle punch of cherry cobbler. And we're going to attach that to the front. So we'll put a little hot glue on there. And we'll stick that down in the center. And now we'll cover it with hot glue. And for these ornaments, I put 3 pieces of tulle on. I did everything in 3s. They say 3 is pleasing to the eye, so that's what we're going to do for this one as well. So we'll just figure out where we want to put our tulle. When you peel it off the mat, again, if you have any glue hanging off the edges, just snip that off. And if you don't, that's fine too. You're not really going to see it. But you can see once the glue's dry, they just peel right off that mat. Okay. So now we're ready to attach our other rosette. So put a little more hot glue in the center, and we'll just put it right over the tulle. We'll take our rosette and center and stick it. Like that. So the next step, I use the Big Snow Flurry die, and this is a beautiful die. It has 3 snowflakes on it, a big one, a medium, and a small one. I took some silver glimmer paper and I cut out 3 of the small snowflakes and 1 of the medium. The medium size will go in the center, and then I put the smaller ones on top of the tool. And a little tip for you when you're cutting the glimmer paper with your paper trimmer, I don't cut it with the glimmer side up. I flip it over and I cut it on the back side so that my blade is actually going more through the paper side than the glitter side. It seems to save the blade. It doesn't dull it as fast if I do that. Alright, so we'll put a little bit of hot glue on our snowflake, and we'll put that in the center. We'll put a little bit of hot glue on our little snowflakes, and we're just going to tuck those up underneath there and just hold it for a second. Okay, so the next thing we're going to put in the center is one of these large vintage faceted buttons. I'll just put a little hot glue on the back of it. I'll stick that in the center. And you could leave it plain. This one I left plain. I didn't put anything in the center. And on this one I took a big pearl and put in the center. So it's really up to you if you want to just leave it the way it is or add something else to it. Alright, well I think we'll go ahead and we'll make this the top of our ornament. So now we're ready to attach the ribbon. And for these two I used cherry cobbler seam binding. But I think for this one I'm going to use some of the gumball green stitch ribbon. So this piece is about 24 inches long. So once you determine where you want the top of your ornament to be, count over 4 scallops. Like right here is a valley and there's 2 scallops, and then there's a scallop on each side of it. So I'm going to take my ribbon, and right here where the valley is, these 2 scallops, I'm going to go over 1 on each side. So I'll feed this through this side. And this one on the other one. Pull my ends. So pull your ends so they're even. Now here's where I'm going to determine how much I want to leave out to hang on the tree. We'll flip it over. And I'm going to feed this side back through the center scallop. And this side through the other center scallop. Still leaving enough room up here to hang it. And then here we'll just tie a simple bow. Okay, well my bow's not the best, but that's okay. I can fix that later. And then just trim the edges, however long you want to leave your ribbon edges. And then to finish off the back side, if you want to give it for a gift, now you have your little to from stamped. We know this is the top, so then we'll put a little hot glue on it. And we'll attach that to the back. And there you have it. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks. Bye.